From the fish in the sea and the people who eat them, the Newfoundland fisherman gets his living. The people who want to eat the fish would prefer as clean and well-preserved a product as the fisherman himself likes to eat, but they are not always getting it. The export of poor quality salt cod is bad for the country's trade and the fisherman's own pocket. Unless quality improves, the fisherman will eventually get paid less for his fish. But we can provide a more marketable product by improved handling and curing. There are plenty of things the ordinary fisherman can do to produce better quality fish which will give him greater returns for his work. These men have got a good catch, but they've started to spoil it already before it's even landed. The sun's heat is bad for the fish. It dries them up and makes them too soft for good splitting. The best way of protecting the fish from the sun is by covering them with gang boards or tarpaulins. The cod net which this crew are using to cover their fish will provide very little protection from the sun. Look too how this man is treading on the fish. This also will damage them. The damage doesn't show now, but will after it's cured. Now the important thing is to get the fish salted down quickly while they're still fresh. Forking the fish isn't the ideal way of unloading, but it's the most practical method in most places. He's really getting on with the job quickly, but he's forking the fish through the body, and this is almost certain to cause trouble later on. The hole doesn't just spoil the look of the cured fish and reduce its value that way, it lets in dirt which causes rottenness to spread through the body. If only the head is pronged, then no harm is done at all. Of course, it's more trouble this way, but the extra work now saves plenty more work from being thrown away later. These men have been in a hurry to land the fish, and now they're going to dinner. All right then, a man must eat, but the fish shouldn't have been left in the sun like that. If a rough covering is built over the stage head, then the catch can be kept cool. For if the fish are soft before they are split, then they have become inferior quality already, before splitting and salting. Now comes the splitting. This is where cleanliness is essential. Dirt good catch into an unsaleable product. This place hasn't been cleaned up properly since it was last used. The table is dirty and littered with scraps of fish and pieces of gut. After splitting, the fish are dropped into a dirty box with no water in it. The men who work here have limed their stage before the beginning of the season and have taken extra trouble to keep it clean, but it will pay them in the end. Every fisherman may not be able to afford to install a pump, but it is certainly worth having one if possible. There are many ways of splitting cod, but only one right way, and this is not the right way. The knife has turned off instead of cutting straight for the vent, causing slivers. Carelessness with the knife has gashed the flesh. The backbone has been cut in the wrong place, leaving a blood spot. Other faults are untrimmed nape, blood clots, pieces of gut and liver, and round tail. There was nothing wrong with that fish until they got to work on it. Correct work could have made it into this. They are working fast, and yet they're taking plenty of care. Now take a close look at what they're doing. First, the head is jowled so it will come away from the body more easily. This is more important with large than with small fish. Then a slit is made straight through to the vent. The head is broken off from the body, not the body from the head. The first cut is made right down to the tail. Then the backbone is cut 3 joints behind the vent so as to avoid a blood spot. Care is taken to avoid cutting too deep when removing the bone from the right side of the fish. The difference in appearance is obvious, but what is more important is the fact that the well-split and gutted fish has far less chance of becoming rotten than a badly split one. When the splitting and gutting are finished, the premises must be cleaned up. The first thing is to make sure that the spool is properly cleaned down. And the knives should be washed. Time and care taken in cleaning at this stage are half the battle for good preservation. Dropping the fish into a tub which is lined with dirt and slub without any water in it isn't good enough. A pump, whether it is worked by hand or motor, is ideal, as the continuous flow of water washes away the dirt. If you have to use a bucket, remember to swill out the tub when you finish work. During washing, pieces of gut fall to the bottom of the tub, so make sure that it has a plug so that all scraps of fish will be carried away. Before salting, the fish must be thoroughly washed to remove all slub, blood, and pieces of gut. To get a perfectly cured fish, every part must be evenly salted. Much depends on the care taken during salting as to whether the final product sells for a good price or not. One difficulty is that the fisherman can't be sure of the strength of the salt he buys. This would be avoided if the salt were sold by weight instead of by volume. Here are 2 equal-sized tubs of salt. Tub A contains enagua and B cagliari. This container, filled right up with enagua, weighs 231 pounds. But this one, filled with cagliari, only weighs 214 pounds. So if you buy your salt by weight, you will know its strength. And when it comes to salting down the fish, better chance of knowing how much to use. The salt must be distributed carefully so that the thick parts of the fish get more than the thin parts. Otherwise, you will get uneven salting. A common fault which causes fish to be downgraded is slimy napes. This is due to insufficient salting of the nape, so that it starts to go bad. When the fish are under salt, the napes at the edge of the pile don't retain the salt. So before salting, boards should be put up against the pile. Another common fault in salting down is carelessness in distributing the salt, so that it doesn't reach the folds in the flesh. This is serious, because if they are not salted, these folds become places from which the rottenness spreads, so that what looks like a properly salted fish becomes an inferior product. When the fish are taken out of salt, they must be washed thoroughly. At this time, an eye should be kept open for any bits of liver and gut that may have been left, and any scraggy napes should be trimmed. All slub must now be removed from the backs and under the fins. Every fisherman knows that you can't give any hard and fast rules for drying in a climate like ours. Experience and hard work are the only guarantees of a good result. It's only common sense that the flakes should be well clear of the ground and in a position that allows the air to circulate. The ground underneath must be kept clean so that the flies will not breed. Fish that are drying must be protected from rain which washes the salt out of them and from the hot sun which dries them too quickly. Tarpaulins can be used to protect the piles against rain, but they are not altogether suitable as a covering in hot sunny weather. Rinds are better as they allow the air to circulate freely and keep the fish cool. The effects of sunburn are easily seen later when the fish are being graded, and very large quantities of otherwise good quality fish are made West India on this account. Drying too quickly also shows when the fish are inspected, in the form of excess salt on the surface. So on very hot, humid, calm days, the fish should be allowed to work in piles or faggots. This will help to prevent the fish from being sunburnt and from drying too quickly. Now the fisherman has done his work, and he wants to be paid for it. It took an awful lot of work to get this fish caught and cured, and some of it will have been wasted labor, because at some stage or other the work wasn't properly done. These fish will all be downgraded because of various faults. This because of a prong hole in the flesh. This because of faulty splitting and the nape left untrimmed. Round tail gets this one thrown out. Slime gets the wrong pile. This one was oversalted. And here's one badly sunburned. But this is what your fish should look like. So remember, you can only be sure of a good price for your fish in the future if it's of the best quality. Your fish is going to be graded into one of these piles. Make sure it goes into the right one.